All right, so I want to make a new video series where I talk about my practicing progress, goals, problems, things like that. So I'm going to speak sort of off the cuff, because if I start thinking about what I'm going to do with the video and how I'm going to, make it look really nice, I'm never going to start it. So I figured I'll just do it very poorly, very badly, and then I'll improve it, the next time. So yeah, I've been working on 3 pieces: Cordoba by Isaac Albeniz, the Fugue from Bach's Lute Suite 997, and Divertissement sur Lucia de Lammermoor. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. Opus 9 by Napoleon Costet. I'm not going to talk about all 3 in detail. I think I'm going to focus on the Cordoba. And yeah, we'll see where this video goes. Okay, so Cordoba, I have it right here. Here's the music. Okay, very, very difficult piece, but very, very beautiful. Of the 3, I definitely enjoy this one the most. It's fun to play. It obviously sounds really, really nice. And it's probably the easiest to memorize of the 3. Speaking of, it's more or less memorized now. It's been some time. It took a long time, I should say, but it is memorized. There are 2 spots where I was going to say occasionally, but I think it's more than occasionally. More often than not, I'm having to stop and think, what am I doing? Where am I going? And so I'll just refer to the music. Oh yeah, that's what it is. And then I'll play it. But it's just about there. I wish I could memorize quicker. There were no memory tricks that I used to memorize it. Now this is a very long piece. So we're talking basically 200 measures: 91, 92, 93, 94, 195 measures. That's a lot of notes. It's a lot of chord shapes. It's a lot of this and a lot of that. But it's all up here now. If I had done some sort of memory tricks, which I have no idea, I don't know of any, but I obviously know they exist, or there are ways to help you memorize. I could probably memorize it sooner, but I ended up memorizing it because I played it all the time. That's really all it comes down to. I would do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, next day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, next day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. And then I would switch pieces. So then I would switch to the fugue, and I would do that same process, but I'd do it for 3 days, right? Morning, night, morning, night, morning, night. Rotate to the Lucia, 3 days, and then rotate back to the Cordoba. And I memorized it, okay? If I were to just be working on the Cordoba, or if I were to not have that 6-day gap between focusing on it, what I mean is, like I just explained, I would do this for 3 days, and then the fugue for 3 days, and then the Lucia for 3 days, and then I'd come back to the Cordoba. So that's almost a week of not playing this, and that, I think, was detrimental to my progress. So I did make some changes with that. So before starting this, I would run through the fugue, or I would run through Lucia, part of the Lucia. I wouldn't really practice it. I just kind of play through a section slowly. Obviously, I don't want to embed mistakes in there. And then after about 10, 15 minutes, however long it took to play whatever section I decided to play, then I'd focus on this. That way, those pieces that were not the focus would not just disappear in my mind. So anyways, yeah. Having my practice routine in that kind of a setup was not beneficial, was not to my advantage if my focus were to be memorizing or memory. But anyways, that's, well, not besides the point. It's a part of the whole thing, but that's that topic. All right. Let's see. What else can I talk about? I don't know. There were some hard spots for sure. Even the beginning, when I was first learning this, the bars were just a pain. By the time I got to measure 32, 52 or 50, 51, just my hand would just be done. And that's as the music starts. Like that's as the introduction is finishing up and you're beginning to hear, the piece kind of kick in. And my hand was just done. Thankfully, it no longer feels that way because I've been practicing it so much. But that's an issue. But the beginning it sounds really, really nice. The chords sound really nice. You can hear a melody when you're playing. It's very homophonic. And well, you have to listen to it. If you've never heard it before, listen to it. It sounds really, really nice. But that's the first part. And then obviously the beginning kicks in around, not the beginning. We already talked about the first section, but when it picks up. 51, 52, 53. Not that you need to know that. Like I said, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff. A really hard section, 67, 69. Measure 70 to 75, 76. Very, very difficult. So that, you know what? That needs to be a goal. So I'll make sure I make that as a goal for this coming week. Well, we'll see. I've been having some issues with my wrist. I've been wearing a wrist brace pretty much anytime I'm not playing, and then wearing it when I sleep. Why am I wearing a wrist brace? Because I'm playing too much guitar, and I actually don't think it's because I'm playing the guitar. It's because of the way I'm playing the guitar. I'm not taking breaks. I'm obviously not relaxing, because if I were relaxing, there wouldn't really be as much fatigue. And I'm forcing myself to play these parts, which means there's tension there, and I think that's what's really overworking my hand. Well, there was one day where I practiced 6 hours, and that didn't do me any favors. So I think 4 hours is my limit. So yeah, what was I saying? Measure 70 to 76. Very, very difficult section. Another section that I really need to practice. '89 and 90. I'll make sure I write this down. And then maybe I'll play it next week, and this can be like the start of seeing that progress that I'm trying to document. Okay. Also, 900, 101 to 105. That's difficult. And then, this part right here. Measure 133 through 140. There it is right there. For anyone familiar with this piece, this is the part where the vast majority of guitars, practically all of them, will strum. And they'll do like a rasgueado or some kind of strum, because it's obviously very guitarish and it works well. My arrangement, it's not my arrangement, but the arrangement that I'm learning is by David Russell. And obviously, like I showed you, it doesn't call for that. You're doing everything with an arpeggio. And so that's the way I'm learning it. But still, this is a part that I haven't really spent a lot of time on. I haven't memorized. It's easy to remember this particular section. But I haven't really gotten down to, I haven't done a deep cleaning. Because the arpeggios, like these three fingers are in the top three strings, and this one's on the first string. So you're skipping two strings, and that's kind of awkward. And so I'm missing strings, and then sometimes my middle finger's creeping down to the third string, and it's just, yeah. So that's something that I need to work on. And then basically you hear it repeats a lot of the melody and stuff like that, with some changes, obviously. At the very, very end, not the very, very end, but there's a measure, right here, measure 170. I've had a really hard time with that measure, so I need to focus on that, and I just bracket it off. See the bracket right there. Hopefully you're getting that. Bracket. So I advise anyone that's learning, no matter the difficulty of the piece, bracket off the parts that you know are just going to be trouble. Like, that seems really hard. Let me mark that in, And then let's make that a focus at some point. And then there are parts where, not a big deal. It'll work itself out. I don't need to work on it so much like the others. But yeah. I did forget about one thing. There is a part here. I think I'm pointing to the right spot, right here. Okay. Where you have to do a bunch of harmonics. And I've been struggling with one particular harmonic that just refuses to ring out like all the others, and that's been a struggle of mine as well. So I guess I should make those things that I mentioned a goal for this week. And again, speaking of, I'm going to have a hard time reaching those goals. So I think the goal isn't necessarily to make them sound better. The goal, considering my situation with the wrist, the goal should just be to just play through them so that they don't deteriorate. So that's going to be my goal. And that's it. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think maybe next time I'll talk about either the Lucia or the Fugue, or I don't know, we'll see where it goes. I may just redo this whole format or structure. Not that there is one. I'm just kind of saying what comes to mind. But I did want to start this video series to talk about my progress, things I'm working on. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. And I think I already said that earlier. But anyways, that's it. So all in all, considering all the things that that I talked about with you, we are making progress.